Hello there, Ben. A little spreadsheet geekiness for the coin geek here. First of all, just to run you through PCGS set registry. If I click on the set registry and click on US coins, there's tons of different sets that are put together. So for example, if I click on dollars and then subcategory Morgan dollars, there's all these further subcategories. So for example, the basic set, the date set is every date the Morgan dollar was minted. The basic set is every date, every mint mark. So that's 97 coins, which is kind of what I'm doing, except this Morgan dollar set, there's no cap on the grades the coins can have. So if we click on something like the DL Hansen set, you're going to see a lot of 67s and 68s because he has pretty much the top grade of everything. But a while back, they started something called Everyman sets. And if I look at Everyman sets, like one of the ones I'm interested in is the gold dollars. In the Everyman sets, where's my gold dollars at? Where are my gold dollars at? There we go. So there's 76 coins in the $1 gold. Every year it was minted in every mint mark. But the Everyman $1 gold, you can't have anything mint state. So if we look at whoever the top is for that one, they have the set not very completed at all. And notice all of the grades they have are below mint state. But then, so that's what the Everyman sets used to be. But then recent, I don't know how many years ago this was, but it's a kind of recent development that they now have Everyman mint state. So the Everyman mint state, you can have mint state coins, but they're capped at mint state 64, which kind of fit in perfectly with what I was doing, because the first Morgan I bought was a mint state 64 78 Carson City, and then after that I was trying to get everything in mint state 64, which was easy for a while. And then one time I logged on to PCGS and it popped up, suggesting that set. So Everyman mint state Morgan dollars, not the date set, which is 28 coins, but the basic set, which is 97 coins. And the finest possible ranking is 64 if you had all 97 coins out of mint state 64. And so there being me in 8th place. Let me click back up to here. So if I click on set composition, this tells you all of the 97 coins that are included, and it also includes the weight that is given to each of those coins. And of course, like the 93S is going to have the biggest weight at 10, and a lot of the common ones have just a weight of 1. So if you have, like, let's say you have one coin that's a VF30 and another coin that's a mint state 60, normally the average of those two would be 45, but it's also a weighted average depending on what the, I guess you would say, the rarity weight is on each coin. And then you can click over here and see which variety of each year they care about. So for example, I clicked on the 8 tail feathers. It brings me here. If I click on the 7/8 tail feathers, notice it brings me to the page on week. So they're only requiring for the set that you have 7/8 tail feathers week. I happen to have 7 over 8 tail feathers strong, but that still counts as part of the set. The other interesting thing is on all of these coins, like let's say you have the 78cc, but it's in a GSA holder, that still counts as part of your set. But it also counts as part of the set that's specifically just for GSAs. So anyways, all of that just to kind of sort of explain this spreadsheet that I got going on. So I basically listed all of the 97 coins in a spreadsheet and their weights, and then the PCGS number of that coin. And then I made a little drop down list here so I could select the grade of coin that I have for each of them and what it cost me and the mintage of that coin. And then all these columns over here, I typed in the PCGS price guide on those coins. So as I was amassing my collection, I was using this, and I did it on Google Sheets just so it would be available on my phone or my iPad or wherever I happen to be. So if I saw a coin that I like, I could just really quickly consult this instead of having to go to the PCGS website and get a rough idea if I was getting a good deal or not. And then what I started doing towards the end was I started looking at the coins that I was missing and trying to figure out which coin I could add that would move my set rating up the highest. So over here, I have some functions built into the spreadsheet. Let me zoom in a little bit on this because that's probably really small on video. I have some calculations over here which are figuring out my average. So my spreadsheet is figuring out my average at my set rating at 53.18, which is exactly what it says over here for my set rating, 53.18. So once my set was complete, which I did at the Long Beach show this last week, then I started thinking about how can I most economically increase the rating of my set. For example, you see here, I got the 79 Carson City in a VF25, but obviously it'll cost me a lot to move that up. So for example, and by the way, that coin, if I can sell it for what I bought it for $650. So if I could, that's VF25. If I could move that up to XF45, that would cost me an extra $2,000, assuming I could sell the coin I have now for $600. Whereas that same $2,000 will move my ADO from the 61 that I currently have to an MS64. So both of those would increase my rating. Obviously, it would increase me more to move up the 79cc, because if I move up the ADO, I'm only going from a 61 to a 64, whereas that $2,000 on the CC moves me from 25 to 45. Not only that, the 79cc has a weight of 6 and the ADO has a weight of 1. But I have many coins that are not mint state 64. There's an AU55, there's an AU58, there's a VF30, and so on. So I wanted to try to think about which coin would be the best or the easiest cost-wise for me to move up, to replace and move up in grade. So then I made some extra columns over here. So this part of the spreadsheet, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. For every coin that I don't have in a 64, this decimal number here is how much changing that coin out would increase my rating. That's my set rating of 53.18. So, for example, the 78 7/8 tail feathers I currently have in a 63. If I move that up to a 64, that'll move up my rating 0.004. On the other hand, if I move up my 79 Carson City to a 64, it'll move my set rating up 0.96, almost 1 entire point. That doesn't mean it's going to change my ranking, but it'll move my rating from 53 point something to 54 point something. But of course, it'll also cost me over 10 grand to get that bump. But since I only have it in a 25 now, this also lists all the grades down to 25. If I move it up to a 30, here's how it'll improve my set rating. If I move it up to a 35 and so on. So I've got that going on for every coin of the 97 coins that I don't already have in MS64. So that's the first thing I added. Then right after this, also for all of those coins, I have figured out how much that improvement in ranking will cost me. So as I was mentioning, for the 79cc, to get that up to an MS64, that'll cost me $13,000. That's basically the difference between what a 64 is going for and the value of the coin that I currently have, which is 650-ish. Notice this one, it says negative because I have a 63, but I have the 63 in a strong, and I really only need a weak. So even though my coin is $495, I can move it up to a MS64 for less than $300. So that's the only one on my list that's negative. So for each of these coins that I don't have at 64, this is telling me. So this 61, this 80O. This is how much it would cost me to move it up to a 62, to move it up to a 63, to move it up to a 64. So I have that for all of the coins that are not yet 64. And then here's where the decision making comes into play. So now I take, let's go back to that Carson City 79. I take how much the set rating would go up, which is in this case 0.96 of a point. And then I look at how much it would cost me to move the set rating up that much. And I divide those so I get a dollar amount per 1 point of rating increase. This should not say ranking, this should say rating. So to move that 79cc up to an MS64, I'm basically paying $13,000 per 1 point of rating. But looky down here, if I only move it up to an XF40 or an VF35, that's costing me $3,000 per point of rating, even though moving it up to a VF35 won't move me up 1 point in rating. It'll cost me $3,000 per point of rating. So that division is done for all of the coins. And then I have a function that is basically looking at this entire spreadsheet, this last part of the spreadsheet, and looking at which coin is the lowest. In other words, which coin would cost me the least to improve. And that's what's showing up over here, which kind of generated the list that I was sharing with you. So, rank number 1 is number 1 in terms of cost to improve my rating, is if I replace the 78 7/8 with a 64 because the one I currently have is a strong and I only need a weak. Wouldn't move my rating up that much. So the second cheapest one would be the 93.0. So for example, the 93.0 would cost me 132 to give me a increase in rating of 0.12. Getting the 93.0 up to a 45 would cost me $300 and so on. And then the next cheapest one is an 85.0, which I currently have in a VF30. So you can see most of the coins that I have in the lower grades are the ones that are showing up first. And notice both of these changes in a 93.0 are less expensive in terms of dollars per point than moving up the 95.0. And those two improvements in the 95.0 are less costly than moving up in the 95S. So I have this going all the way up to the top 100, but many of the coins show up on here multiple times in my top 100. So for example, the 95S, which I currently have in only Fine 15, that one shows up in this top 100 list 15 times because it will have such a dramatic effect on my overall set rating. So it'll cost me, for example, if I had this money, 12 grand to move that up to a 64, and that would increase my rating 1.2 points. Whereas, I wanted to see the Carson City up here, but Carson City in the Carson City 79 in MS63 would cost me 8 grand, but 8 grand in improvement, but that would only move my rating up 0.92. So this is when I emailed you about doing some spreadsheet magic to figure out what coins I should get next. This is the spreadsheet that I created to help me sort all that out. Now, just maybe one more minute on this. So I also have tabs on the spreadsheet because these are all subsets of the Everyman Mint State Morgan. There's an Everyman Mint State Philadelphia Morgan, Everyman Mint State Carson City, and so on. And then I have my Morgan GSA Horde set, which they only require these 10 coins from the Horde, and I've got 7 of them. I really would like to get that 78cc and a 64, and the 79cc is very, very expensive. I think these over here are gray sheet prices, if I'm not mistaken. And then I told you I was kind of sort of after the $1 gold coins. I've only got like 12 of them so far of the 76, I think, maybe 10 of them. Yeah, I've got 10 of them. And obviously I've only got some of the very easy ones to get. Some of them in low grade. I've got a couple in a high grade. Matter of fact, when I got this 1862 in a decent grade, it appealed to me because I was born in 1962. So I thought, okay, that's cool to have a coin that's 100 years older than I am. And then that led me into looking up this other set. So PCGS also has a set for every year. So for example, this is the PCGS set for every coin minted in 1862. If somebody wanted to collect every coin minted in 1862. And obviously, many of those are very expensive. Even in low grade, many of those are very expensive. This 1862 $20, oh my God. In any grade, that's like out of reach. Anyways, just wanted to share the Excel nerdiness with you. I shouldn't say Excel because this is Google Sheets, but I thought you might be interested in that, at least seeing the kind of magic I was trying to pull off on the spreadsheet. Anyways, that's it. Thanks again for all you do for our hobby. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.